Tropical storm Gabrielle is strengthening. I'll let you know how strong it could get and where it's headed. And another area of potential tropical development I'll be watching for next week. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather. It's great to see you on this Friday. I hope you're doing well. Lot to get into in this video. We'll talk about Gabrielle. We'll talk about some impactful weather across our area. It's a slam-packed video. The first thing I want to say is I appreciate you guys spending part of your day with me. Let's get started. Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Storm moves into your area, you get damage of any kind. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. It's leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. And as always, love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments section below what's been happening in your area, what the weather has been like. Just drop that down in the old comments. Let's get started. We'll talk about Gabrielle in a minute. We have a tropical wave moving through the central part of the Caribbean. This is bringing some very impactful flooding rains to some of our area. Trough still situated over the Bahamas with numerous showers and storms there. Another tropical wave in the Atlantic Basin. That one does not look to develop, but could ultimately bring some rain to the eastern Caribbean. And then the wave emerging off the West African coast is the next area to look at for potential development into next week. But let's get into what's been happening with Gabrielle. Now, do have the 5 o'clock advisory for you guys. I don't have it in graphic form, but I can tell you that winds are still 50 miles an hour. You're going to see two plots here. It's okay. It's all the same storm. It's looking a lot better than what it did 24 hours ago. It's looking like what we would expect a system that is ultimately forecast to become a hurricane would begin to look like. It has overcome the wind shear and is now beginning to develop nice close circulation and thunderstorm activity on all four quadrants. So right now, Gabrielle is moving into an area of more favorable conditions. Let me just drop off this these double icons so it's not as confusing for you guys, but it's looking better. It's still a small storm. It is moving into a more favorable atmosphere, nice outflow ahead of it as well. So it's moving into an even better environment, and nothing looks to be stopping Gabrielle from strengthening. And the Hurricane Center has this becoming a hurricane by Sunday, and the official forecast has this becoming a Category 2 hurricane early next week, with some of the computer models making this a major hurricane, Category 3 or stronger. Now, we're looking at the latest track from the Hurricane Center, which is still east of Bermuda, and that is a good scenario for the island, keeping the weaker western side of Gabrielle with the closest approach to the island as we get into early next week. Let's look here real quickly. I'm going to bring on this spatial tool about how far we are away from the island at this point in time. So if we go from Bermuda to about where the center of circulation is right now, we're about 850 miles away, give or take right now. So again, forward speed is beginning to slow down just a little bit at this point in time, but more than likely what we're going to end up seeing here is just a nice steady progression towards Bermuda as we go over the weekend, and then on Monday beginning to exit the picture on Tuesday. But again, looking more impressive right now on satellite imagery here. Let's take a look at our sandwich product. This is the infrared and the visible satellite imagery on one image. And again, we lose the visible satellite imagery late in the day here, but you can see that nice blow up of thunderstorms. We're even beginning to fill it in on the western side, which has been a little bit more exposed to that wind shear. So I don't see much stopping Gabrielle from continuing to strengthen. It's more about where the track is going to be at this point in time. Let's talk about the models now with Gabrielle. So I'm going to bring up the GFS model, and then we'll bring that up and loop it up. So I'm going to go out, about a week in time. It'll clearly and easily capture the entire track of Gabrielle. Now, when you see those concentric rings, that is the forecast wind radii. When you get to those purple areas, those are winds of over 50 knots. Clearly, you can see that the brunt of the winds in association with Gabrielle are forecast to stay away from Bermuda. So at worst right now, we would see tropical storm conditions coming into the island. There is no watches or warnings, tropical storm or hurricane warnings as of the 5 o'clock advisory on Friday afternoon for Bermuda or for any landmass. So we'll watch and wait here in Bermuda, easy for me to say. But again, if we can recurve the storm east of the island, it's the best case scenario for the area. Obviously, it's going to bring some rain. It's going to bring some squalls and some gusty conditions and maybe even some gale force winds near the island. But again, direct tropical storm or hurricane impacts, We'll have to wait and see with the tropical storm, but it's looking very unlikely right now with the hurricane as long as it can begin that recurve east of the island. When we look at the hurricane ensemble plots, this is the GFS deterministic model latest run. If we go from the island to kind of the eastern extent of where we would have the strongest winds, we're about 125 miles to the actual center, or about 150 miles. That's a good enough buffer to keep the hurricane conditions away from the island. We also see that there's a pretty good, conciseness to where we have the spaghetti models within that cone of uncertainty. Only one or two are rogue and a little bit closer towards the actual island. Let's bring on the winds now. So I'm going to bring up your surface-based winds out of the GFS model. Then we'll look at the European models as well. Loop that up. I'm going to drop off the spaghetti plot, so it's just a little bit easier to see. But again, it looks to stay a relatively small storm. But some of the models do have this becoming a Category 3 with its closest approach to Bermuda. Once it begins to move away from Bermuda, it will accelerate, get picked up by the mid-latitude winds, and get into the cooler waters of the North Atlantic and become, more of a fish storm. Hopefully this stays an entire fish storm, and we're just brushed there in Bermuda. So that's what it looks like on the GFS model. This is the European model. There is Bermuda. The ensembles do keep it east of the island as well. Now, again, the far western extent maybe brushing the island, but we're talking about a couple ensemble members out of many, okay? So there's a high likelihood that the core winds stay east of the island. You do notice that the European model does develop the next tropical wave, and I'll have more on that coming up a bit. This is the European AI version of the model. And again, we have a close approach to Bermuda, but far enough away to keep the core hurricane winds just to the east of the island, with the weaker western side staying closer to the island. And the AI version also does develop the next tropical wave as well. This is the GFS ensemble member tracks. There is only one that is west of the island. So basically one of 50 is to the west. Everyone else is off towards the east, and they're very tightly clustered. Now that we have a true center of circulation, these models are really honing in on that track, and we're getting more model run-to-run consistency, where we're getting a little bit more, consistency, and we have a little bit better agreement with these models, so we have more confidence in them as well. European track are about the same. Again, maybe one that gets closer to the island, but the vast majority are about 150 miles or so off towards the east, far enough away. And again, acceleration. There was a question about the potential for Gabrielle to have some gale force conditions to portions of Europe next week, and that is a possibility with Gabrielle. Now, when we look at the intensity, again, the majority of the models keep it as a Cat 1 or a Cat 2, but a couple of the models do make it a major Category 3 hurricane. The time or the window for that to happen would probably be by Monday, because beginning on Tuesday, it begins to accelerate into the cooler waters, and you can quickly see how fast that does tail off as far as intensity goes. But almost all of the models have this becoming a hurricane, and the official forecast from the Hurricane Center has it becoming a hurricane on Sunday. So as we look at the overall kind of synopsis of Gabrielle, it has overcome the wind shear. It should now quickly strengthen. Again, likely to become a hurricane on Sunday, with some of the models have it becoming a major Category 3 hurricane. Bermuda should certainly be in watch and wait mode. Check in with your local government and your local officials. Again, as of this recording, there are no tropical storm watches or warnings, no hurricane watches or warnings for the island. We're going to get some rain and wind impacts, but hopefully nothing direct. And again, the most likely track is east of Bermuda, which is a very good scenario for us here. All right, so now let's get into a little bit broader view here. We have this tropical wave that'll be moving through. Now, the first tropical wave that could bring some rain to the Eastern Caribbean, early next week, has already been ripped apart, so it's not going to redevelop. The next tropical wave that is moving off the West African coast already has at least a 20% chance of development with it, and we'll have to monitor the situation. It's a little bit more due west in the potential track, although some of the models do try and begin that recurve a little bit earlier in the period. But I do want to just note that overall, I do expect towards the end of September, things to get a little bit more active closer to home. Let me show you, go back over to the GFS model, and I'm going to take this out a little bit farther in time So I'm going to take this out. It's just 10 days. Now, look, again, we don't like to chase the models here in Meteo Mundo. I don't show you guys, the 14 to 17 day. And, typically I only go out 7 days unless I see something of importance, to go out a little bit farther in time. And that is just the fact that I think we're going to get several areas of potential development somewhere in the western side of the Atlantic Basin, maybe closer to the Eastern Caribbean, or maybe even the Northwest Caribbean and the Gulf. All of those actually come into play with the majority of the models, where we have a very active period kind of beginning about a week from today, about September 26th, over the weekend after that and into the early part of the next week, September 29th, which is as far out as I'm taking the model, 10 days. So you guys can clearly see, again, just the last few days here on the GFS model ends up being a very active period here. Now, again, is there any big spin to any of this? Let me show you guys the surface-based winds real quickly as well. And I'm just actually going to cut this model down in time. It'll be a little bit easier for it. So we're just going to go over like kind of the 25th through the 29th. Once it gets to the end of the 29th here, we should have a full run of our winds. So here you go. You can just start to see a few little areas here picked up on the GFS model for a little bit of development. It's actually favoring kind of the Western Atlantic towards Turks and Caicos and portions of the Bahamas, but there are other models that favor the Northwest Caribbean as well. So again, that's what I wanted to point out here. If I take a snapshot of the European AI version of the model for that same date, September 29th, again, several ensemble members have development in the Northwest Caribbean. Others have it in the Western Atlantic Basin. Obviously, this is not just, all different storms, but these are clusters. So you would have 2 clusters of potential development. And again, Umberto is the next named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. So before we moved on, I just wanted to point out that after Gabrielle, we will be watching for some potential development kind of by this time next week, closer to our area. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Again, thanks for spending part of your day with me. Thanks for taking a quick second at halftime of the video, hitting that like button for me right now, subscribing to the channel. You want these tropical updates, your daily forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you have found your home. Thanks for sharing this channel with your family and friends. Appreciate those who are members of the channel as well. We have 2 different tiers for just 99 cents a month. You can become a supporter of the channel. You want to kick it up a notch, that's Team MM for $2.99 a month. You get all the benefits of becoming a supporter, but you also get access to exclusive member shorts. I do short videos and upload them to the Team MM members, giving you kind of my behind the scenes thoughts. It can be tropically, just anything that's on my mind. You can become a member that way. Quick second here. As you guys know, I do a lot of talking, so quick sip of my vitamin water and we can move on. I want to talk about what's been happening in our area today. It's been active. Currently, there's a flood watch in Barbados. We've had some flood warnings in portions of Puerto Rico, the Dorado area, north coastline, north central coastline, but other more widespread multiple areas of flood advisories in Puerto Rico. Antigua, flash flood advisory. The Dominican Republic, several areas under flood warnings. Look, when you're talking about heavy and flooding rains, the situation can evolve very quickly. This is a snapshot of what I saw just before I recorded this video. Some of these could be discontinued, others could be added to this, but this is some of the areas with impactful weather on this Friday. We'll start off kind of in the Windward Islands and just work our way up to the north, where again, we've had spotty, heavier rain. You'll start to see some of that rain move over portions of Barbados. We've had scattered showers over Trinidad. It has been spottier in nature overall, just like it was yesterday in the Windward Islands, where you kind of get the local showers and storms rather than a broad disturbance or a broad area of rich tropical moisture coming in. So there have been many dry hours in locations, but where the rain has fallen today, it has been on the wetter side from time to time. You guys know we have our live camera in the Corinth area of St. Lucia on the western side of the island. Again, beautiful shot there. Kind of more just, cirrus clouds. We don't have that vertical deep development of the cumulonimbus clouds. A lot of blue sky out there. Overall, not a bad afternoon in the Corinth area. Let me go ahead and put on the wind gusts as well here. So I'm going to pop this on. Those are course temperatures, and then these are going to be your wind gusts. So let's see if we've had any active wind here over the last 6 hours. Looks like we've been pretty calm. Now, I've mentioned the last several days that the farther north you go in the island chain, from the Martinique area north to Dominica, and especially Guadeloupe, Antigua, Barbuda, or where again we've had a flash flood advisory or flood advisory, portions of Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Martin, St. Bart's, Anguilla. It's been a wet, stormy forecast. It's been very cloudy. It's been overcast. It's just just been kind of raw outside as well. And again, a few more storms have actually backbuilt off towards the east into the Leeward Islands late on this Friday. And it's been very active today for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, as I've already mentioned. Look at this really thick cloud coverage here. Look at all of the rain and moisture going over Anegada and Tortola, Jost Van Dyke, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John. Again, not only just some rain, but some hefty thunderstorm activity as well. And again, this has led to some flooding. There is an abundant amount of tropical moisture south of Puerto Rico at the hour and beginning to kind of stream in, where again, this is good news to help break the heat, but bad news where we've had enough rain, several inches in some areas, 2 to 4 inches in a couple of spots, to cause some of that localized flooding for you guys on this Friday. And that has extended into portions of the Dominican Republic. Got some pictures and videos to show you guys. This is Simpson Bay in St. Martin, excuse me. The Lawrence Dyer sent this in from the Simpson Bay area. This is a very common sight. Just gray, overcast, heavy rainfall from time to time, waves of rain coming in, not an all-day rain in some areas, but not a lot of sun in portions of the Leeward Islands and the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico as well. And speaking of Puerto Rico, this is from the Aguas Buenas area of Puerto Rico. Sandra sent this in. Again, it's the same thing. Overcast skies, buckets of rain from time to time, and enough at a couple of spots to lead to some localized flooding. So I appreciate Lawrence and Sandra sending in these pictures and videos to help tell the weather story in your area. It is going to be another active day across this region on our Saturday as well. Moisture-laden air is streaming over the Dominican Republic and Haiti, where multiple areas are currently under flood warnings as well. Again, we've had up to 100 millimeters today, or up to 4 inches in a couple of spots. It's a problem. Moisture continues to stream into the area, very efficiently squeezing out the showers and storms. It's another wet day here, higher terrain, flooding into the low-lying areas as that water comes down that terrain. And again, just a wet day from Punta Cana to La Romana, Santo Domingo, especially interior sections of the island. Cuba, wet, stormy, central eastern side. Additional thunderstorms are developing out towards Havana and the Cienfuegos area. And once again, our friends in Jamaica getting some healthy thunderstorms for today. We've had a little bit more of a northeast wind to southwest. It's trying to bring better thunderstorms to some areas that are desperate for some rain. And I just crossed my fingers that some of the areas in Jamaica that have been parched is getting some of this activity for today. You can clearly see we have some thunderstorms near the coast east of Kingston today towards the Morant Bay area, Kingston, Portmore, Spanish Town, Old Harbor, Hayes, Maypen, hopefully a few thunderstorms near Mandeville. If you live along the southern coastal parishes, let me know in the comments section if you've had some of this rain. It has been drier north today. A few thunderstorms out west towards St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland parishes, but St. Catherine and St. Andrew and Kingston parishes, just a good opportunity for some storms for today, even Manchester as well. So I hope my friends there had some of this activity. Back over to the Bahamas, there's that trough line I showed you on the surface analysis. Now the thunderstorms have propagated a little bit farther south and east for today, where thunderstorms are more widespread, a little bit farther south. So even as far down as Exuma and Long Island and Rum Key, San Salvador, certainly Cat Island, getting the thunderstorms for today, portions of Eleuthera, New Providence, and Andros, and it's been a little bit drier for Freeport, Lucaya there, Grand Bahama, the Abacos, Walker's Key, down towards Bimini. A couple of scattered showers as far southeast as the Acklins, but Turks and Caicos look pretty quiet for today. Again, our live camera, central Eleuthera, Governor's Harbor. We've had a couple of passing showers and storms. Otherwise, it's been pretty tranquil for today. And again, some activity a little bit farther off towards the south, but it kind of tells the story there in the central side of the Bahamas. Can't rule out a stronger or an isolated severe storm with some of this activity. You can see the lightning count coming up as well. No gusty winds out of this area that are widespread, but from time to time, some of those storms could pop up some of that activity. We've seen a couple of scattered showers trying to develop over the Cayman Islands for today. Nice little storm just on the northern side of Grand Cayman. Hopefully it hit the island itself. A couple of light showers near Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. Once again, a very active day over Quintana Roo. Look at the thunderstorms getting going over Cancun, Cozumel, racing off towards the west. Nice cluster of thunderstorms over the Merida area earlier in the day. Campeche as well. Just widespread. And again, lightning is a big story here with some of that local heavier rainfall. Scattered showers are developing again in Belize. We don't have the excessive rainfall watch any longer, but the opportunity. And I noticed my pocket square dropped down a little bit. I don't want it. If I put a pocket square in, we got to show it, right? All right. back to it. You can see some of the thunderstorms developing in interior sections and just a relatively cloudy day with a couple of passing showers. I'll put on the visible satellite imagery. And again, there's a lot of turbulence here in the Northwest Caribbean. A lot of lift in the atmosphere, nothing that is an organized tropical nature, but rich tropical moisture this time of the year is spreading in northern sides of Honduras. Wet, stormy afternoon, San Pedro Sula, La Ceiba, trying to get towards the Bay Islands there. Few scattered showers along the Caribbean coastline of Honduras. More thunderstorms for Nicaragua, portions of Costa Rica and Panama. A little bit drier for today overall. And then we get to my friends in the ABC Islands, where it has been a wet and stormy day. We've had some heavy thunderstorms over Curacao. We've had some good, healthy thunderstorms on the northern sides of Bonaire. Again, look at the lightning develop. I told you yesterday I was more, I had better thoughts about some rain in this area. And then we've had some overcast skies and some light showers with a spotty, heavier shower over the Aruba area. But more thunderstorms today, Curacao and Bonaire. This is a live look to Oranjestad, Aruba. The rain is gone from the island at this point in time, and it's a beautiful late afternoon on this Friday from the Eagle Beach area there. But earlier today, this is my friend Jaden, the San Nicolas area of Aruba. A little bit down the coast, you can see the developing and billowing showers and a few isolated thunderstorms with some of that rain. Jaden said they got some, not a lot, but they got some. Hopefully you got more in the ABC Islands for today. And if you guys want to send me a picture or video to help tell the weather story in your area, it's mymediamundo@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to do it. All right, so let's get into your forecast here, guys. We've talked about the tropics. We've talked about Gabrielle. We've talked about what's been happening here, for today. So now let's get into your island by island rainfall forecast over the weekend as well. I want to get you guys prepared. If you have any outdoor plans, you got anything you got to do outside, I got you covered. So let me switch over to our reflectivity here and just take 1 second to loop that up. I'm going back for the vitamin water. Again, it's just that time of the year for me to talk so much. Appreciate you indulging me in that fashion, and we'll move on. So clearly, again, there are going to be pockets of more heavy rain and flooding for our Saturday. Kind of concerned about portions of the Greater Antilles, concerned again about portions of the Leeward Islands, though I think that some of the deepest tropical moisture for the short term might be moving away from the Leeward Islands. So I'm a little bit more focused on the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti for some excessive rainfall again for your Saturday. High rain chances there overall. We could still see this trough sitting over the central and maybe the northern side of the Bahamas. It can teeter back and forth north and south, right? So heaviest rain today was over the central Bahamas, but maybe it slips a little bit farther north tomorrow, and Nassau and Freeport get a little bit more in on the act. But just overall, pretty active pattern through tomorrow, breaking apart a little bit on Sunday and Monday. Still some scattered heavier rain possible in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands and Cuba. Generally we're trying to slip this axis of moisture a little bit farther to the west, but I still have good rain chances for Cancun and Cozumel and Belize City over the weekend as well. Still some heavier rain possible for the rest of Central America. The ABC Islands won't see as much rain over the next couple of days, a little bit more scattered in nature, but there'll be the opportunity here. And the Leeward Islands in general is just a spot that could remain very wet. Now, we could get good rain tomorrow, a little bit of a break in the action as we get into our Sunday, but more additional heavy rain trying to get back into the forecast for Monday as well. Another tropical wave. It's the one that's in the Atlantic Basin now that won't develop, but could bring a big slug of moisture moving back into the area associated with that. So when we look at your island by island rain chance, it breaks down like this. Northwest Bahamas, 40% chance for showers and storms in the coming days. I've got a little bit drier in the central and southeast Bahamas. I could be a little bit conservative with this. Just wasn't, 100% confident that this trough could continue to develop the thunderstorm activity that it has the last couple of days, but it is not going to be completely dry, that's for sure. Turks and Caicos will be in for a couple of showers as well. Numerous showers and storms across Cuba. I like the 40% chance across the Cayman Islands. Scattered rain, locally heavy downpours. Belize City, 50 tomorrow, 60 Sunday, back to a 40 on Monday. Nice solid rain chances, not a washout if you have weekend plans, you're vacationing Cancun and Cozumel, but not maybe full sunshine all day long. Watch out for the thunderstorm activity in the afternoon. 50% chance for my friends in Jamaica the next couple days, 40 on Monday. Look at the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. 80% chance the next couple of days, 50, 60 Sunday. Then we're back down to a 40, 50 on Monday, but still just a very wet forecast. Again, heavy rainfall tomorrow. The Virgin Islands, 60% tomorrow, 50 Sunday, drier Monday. Obviously, Bermuda will see rain chances tick up, especially on Monday. I'll be monitoring the situation over the weekend for my friends in Bermuda, as Gabrielle will be making a closer approach. Anguilla, 50 tomorrow, 60 on Sunday. Scattered to numerous showers and storms in St. Kitts and Nevis, same as St. Eustatius, St. Martin included in all of that. Antigua Barbuda, 50% chance. Montserrat, again, kind of bobbling 40 to 50. Then we start to see that next tropical wave coming in. So it's a little bit farther south, at least initially. So kind of Guadeloupe, Dominica, then swinging towards Martinique. Late Sunday, Monday, rain chances will improve there. I've got scattered to isolated rain in St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. Should be a bit drier in these spots in the Windward Islands on Monday, but still could be heavy rain in localized spots tomorrow. The Grenadines, Barbados, potentially Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago as well. But again, not everyone's going to get it. Let me be very clear about that. And overall, the rain chances come down until later Monday when that next tropical wave begins to move back through. Suriname and Guyana will see some healthy rain chances over the weekend. Nueva Esparta, a solid 40% chance for your Saturday. ABC Island still could see some rain overnight through tomorrow, and then beginning to break apart a bit late tomorrow and into Sunday and Monday. Now, obviously, one of the things that will come for the ride with a developing and deepening Gabrielle will be the opportunity for some large waves. So we'll have to watch out for that, mainly in the open waters of the Atlantic, but it could throw some long period easterly swells towards Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. And then that's the next spot, right? So this is Gabrielle moving east of Bermuda and away, and then this model, based off the GFS deterministic, does have a little bit of juice coming into the Greater Antilles as we get towards this time next week. So we'll have to monitor that. Now again, rainfall totals typically are very high this time of the year and will stay very high along that trough line with Gabrielle, our western areas, and many spots again in red. That's at least 2 inches of rain, but a lot of these areas are at least 4 inches of rain in the coming days. That's more than 100 millimeters. And you can see some of the heavier activity. There's not too many areas between now and about next Friday that would see less than an inch or two of rain. That's kind of island wide, specifically, locally higher than that. And of course, some spots won't get very lucky and will have limited rain chances. But most areas will. Friends, you can follow us across all of our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, it's Meteo Mundo, X, Facebook. That email address is mymeteomundo@gmail.com. Please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. It is storm season. The storm moves into your area. You get wind, hail, hurricane damage. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Make sure you go to leanonmelaw.com for more information. Gabrielle with winds of 50 miles an hour, but forecast to strengthen into a hurricane by Sunday. I'll be monitoring that in the next tropical wave. Friends, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon with your latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.